Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
I did, but I was not here last time, so I can't really
You can't
motion.
say, yeah, that's
I mean, I
right.
reviewed them, but
Okay, do we have a motion to approve them?
Yeah, I reviewed them.
Okay, okay, do you, Eric?
When I get out, I didn't get this till.
Yes, I approve.
Okay, great.
It was attached to,
Everybody in favor?
I don't print out the minutes. I'm sorry.
We have, visitor, what?
I didn't hear any of the minutes. Did you get a,
It's all approved.
but I didn't hear it, so you need to tell me.
Okay, so, Mel and me. Melissa, sorry.
I know.
I know, our family is all Mel.
Your kid
Yeah.
called me Mel, but.
So, Mel, made the motion,
And the second.
Eric, seconded it, and then
Thank
we
you.
voted. Visitor comments, did you want to do, make
Sure.
any visitor comments?
Well,
Kelly?
wait, what does that mean?
That means you get that 3 minutes we were talking about,
So that's when I read this thing?
whatever you want to comment on.
Okay. So this would be, I'm talking about the BDC collaboration subcommittee meeting that we had a few days ago.
Yeah, Kelly,
Yes,
for the recording, can you say who you are and what?
hi,
Business
Kelly Barr, from Civil Alchemy and listening for the Frisco Annex Field Theory. And Half Pint. So, we attended,
We do have the minutes.
okay, so what does that mean?
That means you can talk about anything you want to, but you don't have to use your 3 minutes to go over
Okay.
what we said at the
Great.
meeting.
So, something that I've been working on is the kind of Webster and Bloom Mother's Day weekend appeal and campaign that we're putting together to obviously improve outreach to the community. And that would include doing some posters like we had done for the fall thing, and we're going to have an artist call to actually have somebody, a local artist do it. Madeline from Papillon Press is going to do the printing again, very gracious of her. I don't know what to say. For Civil Alchemy, we're going to do some things like maybe a free gift with purchase. One of the big things that we like to do is we like to have events where you can come in and get like an NA drink or an A drink and bring people in. We try to stay away from doing discounts because in the long run, that really just kills a small business. That's a short-term fix for a long-term problem. So anyway, I'm here because I want to see all the businesses succeed in this area, because personally, I just want to say that I believe that if we take a second and imagine Webster Groves without the independents on our main streets, and imagine instead that there are rent centers and check cashing centers and things like that, and we really take a second to stop and think about that, it's a really huge asset to the community, and I think it gets forgotten. So I am speaking to say, I think it's outlandishly important that we get all the support we can, because I think it actually, personally, if you imagine it without it, you can see how important it is to the community and the growth and the, not just growth, but even just sustaining Webster Groves as it is.
Thank you. Typically, we don't respond to visitor comments,
Cool.
but some of this you might hear spoken about in the committee update. Okay, so the marketing outreach update, do you need a minute? We can kind of circle back if you.
I just wanted to give you guys these before we started.
Thank you.
Okay, so Tammy, do you want to start or you want me to start?
You can start. Okay.
So what I just put in front of you is what I call, it's just a marketing in the making. Morning. But it's basically just an overview of kind of what our rates are with some of the partners that we have, whether it's radio, print, TV, just to give you an idea of how you can craft your budget around some of these things if you wanted to do something specifically for the business districts. And so looking at your list of interested outlets, our current partner right now with radio is KZK. The larger partner is Odyssey. And so for a 30-second spot a day, it's the unit rate for that spot is about $91.89. The city does about 5 spots a week. And so our budget weekly is like $3,400 to get those spots weekly. And so we have about 37 spots a week. So in the current spots that we have with KZK, they talk about everything Webster Groves. It's all business focused. So Julie Tristan, who's the personality on that radio station, she'll come to Webster businesses. I think she's a former Webster resident, so she's very familiar. She'll talk about events. She'll talk about a coffee shop she went to, a dinner her and her husband has. She's also our kind of influencer personality. So during the Valentine's Day campaign, I don't know if many of you saw the video that she did at Robust, where her and her hot firefighter went to Robust for dinner, and kind of highlighted the campaign and all the other businesses that were participating in that 14 days of Valentine's Vibes campaign. And so we have a really good partnership with them. And our rep, her name is Judith Anderson, and she's always willing to create packages specifically for businesses if they want to do it individually, or if there's something that you guys want to craft for Explore or the Business Commission. Specifically, she's really interested in doing that with the city rates, and so not giving you guys anything higher than what she's already offering. Print partner currently is primarily the WKT. For a full page ad, and I just kind of I put a full page ad price on there because I wanted to share an idea with you guys. That price for a full page ad at the city rate is $1,252. And so each month the city does an Inside Webster Groves kind of full page ad, and it's kind of like a newsletter. And I know you guys are already doing some type of newsletter style content that you share internally, but I just wanted to share an idea that's something that you can consider doing, whether it's monthly, quarterly, in the WKT, similar to this, but you're just talking about everything the business districts have going on. And so each business can pop in and out quarterly or monthly, however you guys decide to do it, if you want to do it at all. But I kind of just wanted to give a visual, and you can name it something cute. The branding will stay the same. And so this will cost that around that $1,252.
How often are you running that ad now?
Once a month. And so I would say yearly that annual budget is anywhere from 16 to 18,000. That's why I kind of recommended quarterly or something every other. TV, our current main partners are Studio STL. I think that is Fox 2, and Great Day is Fox 4. If I probably switch those up, but those are our main partners. And so I put the cost of a studio session in there. Could be anywhere from $600 to $800, where you go in, you talk about business or the district what's happening. We typically do that during Webster Wonderland. And so Orchard takes, I think, Great Day, Studio STL, Old Webster takes, and then they talk the opposite. But the business districts, they take a spot on those, and they just talk about everything Wonder Wonderland related. They bring different things from the different businesses, they talk about it. And then also there's an additional package that comes along with that for Facebook marketing, things on their website, and additional ads that they run as a part of being on there for, it's about 2 to 3 minutes. Any questions with that so far before I move on to Instagram and Facebook?
So under the KZK, we've got the spots for that like run, I guess, on during certain times and things like that. What is the rate for the influencer piece of that?
So we do 4 videos with Julie now, and it's $8,000. So it's $17,000. Well, $7,000. I'm sorry, my number was $8,000 for 4 videos. We have $1,700 for the video and then a talent fee that adds up to a $300 talent fee. And so for 4 videos, it's 8,000.
Do you have any information about like the demographics, the radio and the TV reach?
And so I know it's regional, and so I can look on, see if it tells me what the impressions are on here. It doesn't tell me what the impressions are for the TV right now, but I know for the radio, at least when we do the influencer campaigns, it has like 100,000 plus impression rate. It's reaching at least 100,000 people every time that they post it. And they're posting it on Julie's page, they're posting it on the KZK page, and then they're boosting it as ads.
The once a month Webster Kirkwood Times one, is that strictly just like city news, kind of type of a thing?
So it fluctuates. And so this one that I showed was from February. We always have a letter from, at least our version, we always have a letter from a city council member, the mayor, or the city manager. And then whatever else we think is kind of important, we focused on sustainability. And then for February, we did a Black History Corner. And so the end of January, we did one all about the Valentine's Day campaign. The 14 businesses pretty much got that whole page, talking about their offerings, their business. And so it could fluctuate, but primarily it is focused on city business. Any other questions on that piece?
And Tiara, and forgive me, you're suggesting maybe the business districts or the BDC do something like similar to that at the city rate? Is that, yeah, so like business focus, whatever little campaign might be going on, and I don't mean to say little as condescending, it's like, cute, can you see? So, okay, so that's what you're.
I thought of it as an idea.
Yeah.
Not necessarily have to, but.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So while we're talking about like just this part here, the current media partners there, and this is just professional opinion because we don't have insights into all the impressions and everything on them. Which do you think is the best spend or the best return or value for what we're getting out of it?
For a local audience, the paper. For a wider audience, I really enjoy the partnership that we have with KZK. And because I know for sure what the impressions are, and their listening base is huge. Even for the Christmas time, they're the official Christmas station of the St. Louis region. And daily, they have a lot of listeners. And so we're plugged in 5 times a day on that station. And so we're going to keep that partnership regardless of if you guys add to it. So it's already really working well. And I hear a lot of people saying, I get feedback. They heard about it on the radio. They didn't know we were doing radio. And so that's the one I get the most positive feedback from.
And there's multiple layers, it looks like, of that relationship. Which, versus, I suppose it's like a recorded information about Webster Groves or the businesses here.
No, it's not. It's live spots. So for 30 seconds, Julie's just talking about personalized. She's talking about Webster. So none of them are the same. Every day it's different. She loves talking about but she does make it personal, and it's not pre-recorded. The only one that's recorded that we pay extra for during the holiday time is our commercial.
Okay.
But even during the holiday time, she runs the commercial and she still does the personalized stuff.
Neat.
Facebook and Instagram boosting is very simple. It's one of your most economical options. And so I just put an example of if you wanted to do a 60-day campaign. I just use 60 days because typically that's how long Webster Wonderland runs. If you had something coming up and you want to advertise for 60 days, you could do a $20 budget of boosting each day. And so for $20, you would get in between 1.5K to 4.2K accounts reached with if you have a link or a registration link attached to something or anything like that, you'll get anywhere from 58 to 176 people, according to Meta, that would interact with that link, at least click it.
Is that over the 60 days or is that over
No,
daily?
that's daily. And that would round out to about $1,200 for that 60 days. So just an idea, these numbers fluctuate. You could have a budget of $5 a day. Of course, those numbers of accounts reached and potential clicks will go down, or you can do more for a shorter amount of period and pay for the extra booster. So those are our current partners. I didn't print out the materials I got from St. Louis Magazine, just to save some paper. I'll share the slide deck that she shared, the rep shared with me, with you, or however we want to do it to share amongst the group. But I had a conversation with St. Louis Magazine yesterday, and it was really interesting. What I will share, you can pass it around, is their grant program. And so what they have is basically a package valued at $5,500. And it gets you email marketing in their newsletter. You get to be on some of their socials. And then there's a digital ad campaign along with that. And so if they break it down in the paper, and the package is valued at $5,500, but they're offering for the ones who apply for this grant that the city, basically the entity, which would be us, would pay $1,000 and STO Magazine would cover the rest. So this would be pretty individual business focused, but it is something that I thought was interesting that they offered. If one of the Webster Groves businesses decided to apply for it, could be something that you guys budget for to support that business that year or that cycle that they run the grant program. Last year, they said that they only had, I think, 5 businesses apply, and all of those businesses got the grant. So it's a new program, so get in early and you probably have a more chance of getting the actual grant, but I thought it was pretty cool that they offered something like that.
So I see that it says CID here.
Yes,
Is
this
that-
is a sample of what she did.
Oh, okay,
with
like
another,
with a different, okay, gotcha.
but she just gave it to me to show what the content of the actual grant program is.
Neat. Is there like a term that they accept applications, or is it a rolling thing, or do you know anything about that?
I don't know the specifics of the term, but it was for this past fiscal year, so 24 to 25 for that opportunity.
And who is the contact person that you talked to about that?
It'll be in the slide deck that I share with
Okay.
you later. Her name is Kelly, and so she was pretty nice. But also she shared just some general information about what campaigns could look like. Let me try to find the numbers. But pretty much what I got from her is that you could build out a campaign. So I'll just go over what a sample quarterly marketing campaign would look like for them. And what's interesting about St. Louis Magazine is that they have newsletters that are tailored to certain topics. So they have like, I think 12 different newsletters, but it's family and kids, culture and art, businesses, restaurants, music and art. It's just all kinds of different things that they have. And so an example campaign would be that you can get 3 spots in 3 different newsletters according to what fits for your business or what fits for the district for 1 month, per month. And then they would email that out and put it on social media. And then it will include your logo in the header. So like you're basically like the sponsor of that newsletter. Social media spot and a tag on their social media to drive people to the actual newsletter. Then they have an email newsletter that they send out, a standard newsletter sponsorship, which includes your a prime spot. So they have on their newsletter, if you've ever seen it, they have like smaller spots and then they have like really big ones. So basically you would get the big one for 3 of those newsletters. They also have just some audio, website plus social media campaigns because they now have a new podcast. And so they are offering spots in their podcast for advertising, as well as stories and posts on their Facebook and social media, and then a display on their website. And so if you did that for a quarter, the total investment would have been $4,950. And that expected audience reach per quarter would be 250,000 people. So it's an investment, but they have quite a few different ones, and that's just an example of one that she told me about to offer. So it's a lot of information to dump on you guys, but I will put it all in an email just to take a further look at. But just wanted to give some preliminary numbers of it all.
Appreciate it. And then, of course, we have the information that we've gathered in the past from Ladue News.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I explained this to the entire group, but there was a point where Maypop had reached out to WashU, students, coffee, plants, natural connection. And we learned that the person in charge of their advertising there and advertising to the student body had never been to Webster Groves. We are 10 minutes down the easiest road to drive in the city, and they had never been here. And so she was like really impressed with all that we had to offer, because we have a lot of really hardworking independent restaurants and businesses here. And so we've been developing that relationship for a couple of years. Their advertising is really reasonable. I reached out to her earlier in the week to find out if she could help us understand, as a community or businesses, how we could amplify our impact, our awareness to the students coming in. And so she's kind of putting that together. But there was a recent article published last week of the discretionary spending availability of students at different universities around the country, and WashU has the highest, even over Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all of that.
To that note, I'm actually going to campus right after this meeting, and they've approached us to do a summer workshop to integrate the students into not only the chamber, but to Webster. So that's something we might want to collaborate on.
There's so many things that here, even not even just restaurants and shops, but we have the theater, we have all kinds of different opportunities.
The other thing I want to mention is that through the Scandalaire Center, and Renee and I have talked about this in terms of new ventures, a lot of our students are applying for arts grants and winning arts grants, which a mandatory requirement is that you have to establish a business here in St. Louis. So the opportunity to be able to, establish a business here is available.
Neat. Yeah, the more we can keep that dialogue going, it just really surprised us that she had no idea we were here.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. We'll have some more information from that to add, to share with everyone. Did anyone have any questions or comments about the marketing update?
Reach out.
We need to start putting some numbers together for the budget. And so we wanted to kind of find out where you're seeing impact and things that we can kind of add on to at a good rate.
I also wanted to add that there are free options.
Sure.
At least with St. Louis Magazine that we talked about right now, the nominations are still open for their A-list. And so what's really unique about them is they offer a marketing toolkit for free to the businesses who want to try to compete for being on their A-list. And so those nominations, that nomination period ends next Friday. And so if you haven't nominated yourself or encouraged your customers or the community to nominate a business here in Webster, you still have about a week to do so. And then they also have community calendars that you can submit events or different opportunities to for free. And then they have a running list of contacts for editors. And so if there's a story about your business that you think is unique, if you feel like you offer something different, or why people should just shop in Webster, that's something that you could pitch to one of their editors there at the magazine. And they don't accept payments for their editorials. And so if they pick up your story, they pick it up, they'll advertise it for no cost.
Is that like one of those kind of online forms that you can kind of fill in with the information type of thing on their website?
From my understanding, yes.
And also like email them a press release,
Mhm.
and they're pretty good about like picking up some stories. If they're into it.
Thanks for, thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for putting all that together. Okay, next is our, the budget commission report to the subcommittee update. Bam. Cause I think I left my sheet at home that I wrote down what we had talked about at our meeting.
Yes, and luckily. Yeah, we had a great chat. Lots to figure out still, like with Blue Dot. And I think there's lots of opportunity there. But as far as like the budget goes, I think what we need to focus on is understanding like how much we actually need for hospitality, for coffees and for restaurants, for the happy hour that the chamber has so incredibly joined with BDC to co-sponsor those. And I think that we need to make it really clear that like the real cost, not asking for, discounted favors from our local restaurants is pretty critical going forward. And thank you to Cyrano's for such a great experience. I heard wonderful things with the last one. And so also I feel like, that marketing presentation is very informative, very helpful in trying to determine where we want to land numbers. Right now, council is considering what next step we're going to take. We heard presentation about various tax opportunities. As you all know, we're not the big box store community. So and we are so grateful for the incredibly vibrant small businesses that we have in our community. That said, to keep pace with what our neighbors, what we expect as Webster, we have pretty high standards. So we need to consider as a body of how we can continue to bring that level forward and grow perhaps even. And so we are having some real serious conversations about what to do with the whole taxing opportunities. And there are a couple of them that we're considering right now. So I think, to decide what this group wants to ask for is be very realistic in our hospitality and marketing. And after hearing all that Tiara had to share, I think that really shines, some light on some things that we weren't so sure about. So I'll be able to make some more informed decisions. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. So I think, so it's really mostly two categories that we're looking at, which is the hospitality to try and bring all of our community together as often as we can so we can communicate with them and get information to them as well as feedback so we know what's important. What are the obstacles that everyone's facing, things like that, so that we can help however the commission can and the city can. And then the other piece is to amplify some of these efforts. It sounds like, and Tiara is doing an amazing job. That February highlight was really, really lovely. And I think in response to a lot of things that we've talked about on the commission. So it was really, really beautiful to see that kind of come together. I like the fact that it was also different aspects of our community. They had like some of our performing arts, restaurants, shops, things like that, a little bit of everything. So I don't know if marketing is always the right word.
Correct.
Um,
Words matter,
in
yes.
promotion, in the promotion of our businesses and our community to the region at large. If that's the best word to use on a budget line, then maybe that is the right category. But I know that sometimes we get into a mindset of we don't want to become a marketing arm. So there is, the words make a difference, the intent and like how we want to pursue that, for sure, is what we should all definitely identify as well, so that when it's presented to council, they get a clear picture of the intent of those dollars spent. I'm not sure, Renee, do you know, naturally there is a budget that Tara is working with in that. Is that in like the general kind of funds or something, or how does that piece of her budget work?
So specifically for you guys, advertising for business districts fall under the public engagement, and the line item is advertising.
Okay.
So everything that you're talking about, your campaigns, it would go into there. And and then other items, whether it's materials, but I don't think I don't think you all have some of those things because you're overarching on everybody. So specifically, I think your biggest line item is your advertising.
Mhm. Does that fall under, so I know that it hasn't in the past been a part of the request on our part, the
It
dollars
should
that she
be.
works with?
Right, it should be. In the past, I think someone just did your budget. This is an opportunity for you to plan. It goes back to what we've been talking about. You're planning your campaign. You don't want to say marketing, but you're planning your campaign, your branding, which is great. I don't know that was a conversation in the past.
It definitely hasn't been since I've been on this. Yeah, and you've been on even longer than I have. So maybe we don't understand even what our full budget ask needs to encompass.
It should encompass all of these things that you all have been talking about. Whether it's the branding, whether it's the commercials, whether it's the ads, rather than what I've noticed, it's like, okay, we'd like to do this next month. This gives you an opportunity to plan it out and to take advantage of, there are several discounted packages.
Sure.
And you can save, you can get more bang for your buck if you all.
Exactly.
And you are allowed to plan it out, this is the whole engagement of this. If you all, decide how you want to.
So, how would we need to work then with Tiara to understand what that was for the past fiscal year so that we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, well, no, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. I just want to ask a question.
Oh, I thought you were gonna jump in.
No, well, I have a question.
So there is a performa report that we should be reviewing. I sat with Tiara the other day because we were sorting out who does what. And there's a performa report that will show you what your spend is as of this fiscal year. That door doesn't work. It'll show, and we should send this to you. It'll show you the percentage where you're at. It gives an estimation of how much you're gonna end up using with your budget.
Sure.
So I think that would be an excellent tool for us to use because you did a lot of great things. So let's see where it falls, and look at possibly increasing if you have to. So that's the tool you need.
Okay, so I have a clarifying question. So what Tiara does currently remains a line item in the, what did you say that line
The
item?
public affairs.
Public
but
affairs.
It's for
But
this.
anything additional?
No, she has a line item
Okay,
for the districts
And
as
does
far as
the-
advertising is concerned.
okay. That I understand and like what she's been doing. So does the BDC need to request those funds plus any additional campaign, or does
We need
what she's been doing continue to move forward? And then the BDC adds like an additional ask.
I think yes to the second part.
Okay,
Because there was never an ask.
correct.
It was just this is what they get.
It
Yeah.
magically happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So A, what magically happens is it covering. B, we need to let Tiara know, this is what we want to do. These are the campaigns, these are, and even, I would even, the email, you asked about Webster Bucks for the May and Blue, and I asked, and I'm waiting to hear back on that. But even just planning out those things,
Yeah.
Sure.
we want to use Webster Bucks. Will the city, support? I don't know. But it's worth a question, right? It's worth putting it out there.
I think it's also worth having a back and forth with Tira now that she's been in this position for a while. She has these relationships with a lot of these areas. Is there any additional things that you'd like to communicate about Webster? That, is there something that additional that you're seeing, with what you're doing that is opportunity that we could capture? Or obviously, we all want to be as budget conscious as possible, but she may have some good insights on that based on her conversations with others and what she's experienced so far with the different promotions and initiatives she's run out there.
And we can always look at bundling things. So she's created these great relationships. You guys come with the campaign, what you want to do, and we put it together.
Sure. Okay, and the businesses have enough. And once we get into a routine and they know, like these quarterly things we're gonna do, there's gonna be additional opportunities for you to get bundled in at a good price to put in something for your business. You need to let us know by 30 days in advance or 60 days in advance if you want to participate, things like that. We can start getting a framework and a structure going that can give everybody the most bang for their buck.
And reliability
Yeah,
for this group.
and
It's like
tradition.
having, yeah.
We've always talked about how that plays such an important part of what draws people to our area from around the region is, oh, I always love going to the Christmas open house in Old Webster, or, I always love going to Fall Fest in Old Orchard, and but when we start to expand that dialogue, and maybe even stretch out the time period instead of trying to get everyone from around the region in 4 hours. If we stretch it out to a long weekend, doing different things that whatever the businesses want to do, but if we open that dialogue, that window of opportunity up, people who can't necessarily fit, 4 hours on a Sunday may be able to come in another time after work on Friday or something. So all good stuff. And when's our deadline, Jeannie?
Renee, I just
Is it the end of this month?
I will have that answer for you in a moment.
Okay.
Yes.
End of last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've done this for a long time with the taxing district.
March 14th. Does that sound right? March? 14th?
No,
I have on here budget due March 14th,
yikes.
but
Okay.
that could be wrong.
Go ahead, Tim.
This is just kind of an evolution of the BDC. Having actual bigger budget requests and different things. When we started, there was no money for anything. I mean, it just was that's not what it was. Then it started to the coffees and different things where there was an ask, and then the city got the money, and then there was money allocated for us to ask for that was out there. But yes, to do these, last week we did our budget. It was an almost 2-hour meeting. For there, we're not here, but this is kind of the beginning of that, is what I'm seeing. Where we can do some more things. We just have to ask and start with a budget. Then this January would be a preliminary meeting for budget and ask and what we want to do for the following year, starting in January, moving to February, finalizing what we want to do. So I think it's gonna be hard to get something by the 14th.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Oh,
So,
no,
although I would say, if I'm understanding Renee correctly, this budget has been happening without our knowledge in the past? Because like every year that
Well,
I would sit in here,
It has, and Tara's doing it, and Jenny Starkey did it, and whoever's before her, but it sounds like we have the opportunity to add to that in an ask from the council. So I think it's not, she's doing her thing, but I think they're saying, hey, you can do more here, just ask for it and let's put this together.
I guess Renee can clarify what she means, because it sounds like there's a little bit of a shift possibly in mindset on it.
There is a shift. The shift is for you all to be more involved.
That's all.
Actually, though, the good thing is this, your focus for this commission is the advertising campaign. So everything, the other, when I'm dealing with O Webster, there are a lot of other things that are involved, whether it's parking leases, whether it's maintenance. We don't do that.
Lifetime buildings. like,
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
not
it's
doing
just
that in this. one.
Plants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, the focus is, and Tammy, I'll quote you, one Webster, right? So you've been talking about things all year. It's now figuring out, and I think the deck that Tiara is going to send you will be most helpful. The handout that she gave you, most helpful. It gives you an idea of pricing. What do you want to do? How many campaigns do you foresee doing? You let her know. And that's how we'll formulate the budget.
So Jamie, do we have a deadline to have this to submit to council? Do we have enough time to meet, since we meet so early in the month? Do we have enough time for the subcommittee to meet with Tiara, come up with a budget that's all encompassing for what she's talking and presenting to us, and to report back to this group to vote on it before it goes to council?
So it is due the 15th, budget is due the 15th. As far as bringing it back to the group to vote on it, I think what we could do, and maybe Renee can help right the ship if I'm wrong, is say that this, get approval from the commission to say, we are going to pull together a budget that is going to be very focused on advertising or promotion, whatever words we can't plan to land on. And I don't know if that vote suffices or if everybody wants to see numbers, the hard numbers, if that is how we should go. This is like I'm still gonna pull my new kid card. Yeah, so that's maybe something we can get back to you all on.
I wonder if alternatively, and maybe Fran and Renee can speak to this because they have more experience with, this kind of a thing. So if, for example, in the current budget that she's working with, Webster Wonderland is already in
It's in
there
there.
because we've been doing it for a while.
Mhm.
So if we were to come up with a quarterly budget amount for the other 3 quarters and, just say maybe $4,000 a quarter or whatever number the commission comes up with to include as an ask as a more of a budgetary guesstimate, because, we don't know how these will build out, and maybe every quarter is a little bit different because we do want to spread our reach. Is that something that we can do?
I think so, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
My suggestion is the first start is allow me to get you guys a copy of the performer report. Because that'll let you see if we've gone over on items, and honestly, I think that there have been instances where things were done, but they just figured out somewhere to pluck the money from. So this is a more organized approach. And again, the worst thing that council can say is no. But if we also, and I think Tiara and I will do a little due diligence, and we can say, but they already spent this money. We were covering this. It wasn't covered. It wasn't, planned. Now we're planning it.
So BDC is going to absorb that line item that Tiara has been
What she's
managing.
talking about, yes, but there's advertising in every district commission's budget.
Okay,
But BDC has advertising too.
okay.
In fact, that's the BDC budget.
So then if we're gonna have to look at the pro forma, it sounds like we need just a little bit extra time. So, because we have to vote on it, because I can't see where, unless we have those figures, we can make an approval to add to it. Is that correct?
You might be approving what's been being spent all along, but never showing up on your line item. That's what I'm saying.
But I think, Tammy, what you need clarification on is if we need to get an extension of time so that this group can vote on it at our next regular meeting.
Which is in
The beginning of April.
Or-
First week of April.
Is that something that in order to get things to a timely manner, that this, with the proper notification from Katie, we could convene via Zoom and vote on the budget after everyone has seen it? Is that something to consider as well? I don't know everyone's
Yeah,
bandwidth for the next
no, I
couple of
mean,
weeks.
I'm
I
certainly fine with the Zoom meeting to
think
approve
that's
this.
what needs to happen.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye Kelly,
Bye,
thank
Kelly.
you.
Thanks for.
Can there be a preliminary budget drafted and then routed for everybody's review, so everybody has time to kind of?
But we
Go back
will,
and forth.
we'll need that pro forma information in order to even try to do that,
Well, I
if
can get
that's
I can get
included.
the
Yeah,
pro
that should
forma
be.
report to you today.
Um. Okay, so that will tell us where we're coming from. And if we're saying that Webster Wonderland is already a part of that, do we want to take a few minutes to discuss what we would like to add for quarterly initiatives that we're beginning to build a base of?
I can't remember the totals for Western Wonderland.
A lot. But that's like a big, huge holiday push. I think in the past, isn't it something like $11,000 or $15,000 or something just for that
Let me see
one?
if I can ask Tiara.
It's a lot,
For the
so I don't
We wouldn't
expect that
need
these
that for
other,
each quarter.
no, But that would give us a relative
Baseline.
baseline, so like if we're saying, like $4,000 for the other quarters, it's pretty modest. Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to put together here is what our ask is above what's already been done.
Right, yeah, so
Yeah.
that when she sends that out,
Right.
it'll be pretty. The clarity will start to reveal, but I think we just need to come up with, okay, for these other three pushes. What do we want to ask for in addition to whatever they're gonna tell us is already. Been spent, and do we need to account for inflation at all?
Inflation,
What's that?
what's inflation?
It's a constant.
I think annually, probably, especially this being the first pass. I don't know that you necessarily need to factor that in. We were looking at like a,
Just like a
longer term
recurring-
budget,
Mhm.
yeah. Then we would consider that, but because we get to do this again next year,
Yeah.
I think whatever the ask is, just kind of be stabilized.
What I can say is just based on what's been reported to us in past years. It's a lot more than like this number I'm throwing out. Is for Webster Wonderland, because it is all of these different media outlets, it's television spots, it's all kinds of things. Does anyone else have numbers they'd like to throw out to suggest for these other three quarters that we're trying to build in? Or
The only other thing, and I think it goes back to what Kelly was saying, is to support the independent businesses. If the commission would entertain some sort of interactive workshops, to provide tools to kind of help these businesses on a variety of different fronts. These are the requests that I hear all the time is, recruitment, retention, capital, there's human capital, there's financial capital. What is available within the community to be able to help support these businesses?
in advertising?
No, it's not just advertising is just, it's like what we've been talking about. It's a subtext. It's really, how do I strategically plan for my business for the next year? What kind of resources are available? Because a lot of our businesses can't afford the full time, but how can I outsource? How do I get interns? How do I get, a little bit more? How do I build culture? How do I, think a little bit more broadly about my businesses?
When I think of those topics, I think of a lot of the neat programs that the Chamber of Commerce has been running, where they do have experts that come in and
Yeah.
do that. So I think if we
Hold on,
maybe,
Sarah.
maybe if we include in the newsletter, like some information about like programs that you have coming up to help drive people to
Yeah.
being curious about joining the chamber.
And again, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but, I'm going to have to leave here in a couple of minutes, but I just want to underscore the transparency that I'd like to see between the chamber and Webster. Webster is the bedrock of the chamber. Make no mistake about it. Out of 310 members, right? 200 and probably 20 of those members reside right here. So this is our focus. I can give you the breakdown of the other, businesses, but our calling card is always Webster. That's what we're known for. So I would just love to see much more collaboration.
Does that look like, Jerry, if you don't mind me asking a question, does that look like in an event, like kind of like the happy hours, like a
Everything.
Webster
Yeah.
Chamber collaboration on?
I want to break down the wall. Membership, great. If it's a right fit, you'll join. If it's not a right fit, there are members that will benefit by meeting other business owners. We're doing coffee right next to, Betty's, a week from tomorrow at Webster Arts. It's going to be, we already have 30, 35. Again, I don't restrict this. This is not restricted just to members. We're having happy hour at Freddy's. They're hosting it. So that'll be a wine tasting event that they're covering. I want to invite, all of the business community to.
So, for example, like on these lunches where kind of a lunch and learn sort of thing that you have, is it possible for non-members?
Absolutely. We
But
welcome
so
non-members.
I would say that like in a lot of the things I see, I don't see that as an option. Like that's maybe there's an awareness that's not.
It's interesting because we get probably about 6 guests. We've been driving, it's about 50 total attendance. 6 of which are, people feel that, oh, is it a club? Do I have to be a member to come? No, it does cost. It costs $25, of which, just to cover the meeting. But no, I mean, even at the women's networking group, we have many members yesterday. They brought guests, so we welcome that. We just don't solicit it, but I will. I mean, if that.
Yeah.
I guess that's
I mean,
what I'm doing, is I'm soliciting.
Sure, you're like wanting to break that wall
I
down,
want the
so
wall to
maybe
come
just
down.
letting people know there isn't one. Yeah, okay, great. Yes, we're running super short on time, so maybe we'll circle back to this in a minute, because it looks like they're trying to come up with some numbers. Are you guys there?
We're not there. So,
I don't know the question.
no. So the question was, where is this thing? No, that's a lot
It's
better.
coming out.
Okay, it's a lot
Or
better.
maybe just the regular.
Just like
So,
spring,
if it's
summer,
coming out,
fall.
let me check. Yeah, so.
Hi, Jerry.
Sorry.
Bye, Jerry. Tammy, so right now, it looks like it's coming out of multiple places. I
Okay,
don't think it's supposed to come out of multiple places.
all right, so we'll
But-
circle back to this and
I'll
in
email you.
an email
Yeah.
to everyone?
Yeah, well,
Okay,
Well, I just want to clarify, when she says multiple places, I don't know if you remember the holiday marketing packet that I gave right before the holiday season started. That's Webster Wonderland, but depending on what we're paying for, and who we're paying for, it's coming out of different accounts.
right, like the different districts.
And
like all
then
that
there's
stuff.
some marketing that's coming out for Webster wide marketing, and it's coming out of the general fund. So it just depends on what you're looking for.
So here's a question then, maybe we don't need to dive that deep into it. What I was trying to ask the group is, and we can also maybe do this in Zoom as far as like an actual approval. After we get the pro forma to see kind of where we're at as far as asking. If we were to just throw a budgetary guesstimate of what we would like to be able to use for these 3 other quarters, because Webster Wonderland's already in there. So like spring, summer, fall kind of would 4,000, an ask of 4,000 per quarter be a ballpark of a good amount to ask?
And should we, just because Winter Wonderland is already there, does that mean we shouldn't be doing something on top of Winter Wonderland for the 4th quarter as well?
And that was the part of the question that we would like to know from you too is, is there opportunity that you wish you could capture if you had just a little more? Do you know what I mean? Or do you feel like you've got your solid and that, building in these other little ways is a good place to go next? Or do you feel like, oh, if I just had a little extra, this relationship could have some high impact, kind of thing?
And my thoughts on that is not for Webster Wonderland, but for all the other quarters.
Yeah.
So, because we spend a lot of our advertising budget on Webster Wonderland, so a little more focus on the other 3 quarters, I would say would be the way to go.
Okay. Is 4,000 enough, or we don't
I would
know
have
what
to-
Webster Wonderland looks like, so we don't know how to expand from that.
Yeah, Renee and I would have to look at the performance of
Yeah.
the budget right now, and then to come back and tell you if 4,000 is enough, or where we can move things around, or if you have it already, hasn't been used.
Okay.
We'll be able to tell you that once we actually look into the performance.
Well, to make this easy, I mean, I could motion to ask for $4,000 a quarter, even for the Winter Wonderland. To be spent on advertising and different things throughout the year. And then if there's a second, I mean, we could have this done right now.
But we need to know what that's gonna be added to. Yeah, so what they're saying is that like all of the,
We're asking for the additional money right now, on top of whatever they come up with.
okay,
We don't necessarily need to know what they are coming. We're asking
Sure.
on top of,
on top of whatever that is,
whatever
we're gonna
number they
ask
come up
for
with.
16.
Right. We're,
And would that give enough buffer in case like prices change or opportunities develop or things like that? If we just lump it together as an annual thing to be intended to be spread quarterly?
It still would be something that we would have to look against the budget for. I can't give you the answer right here, right now. I also would just encourage, as we are marketing and being good stewards of the funding, developing some type of preliminary marketing plan. Do you want to do something monthly? What does that monthly initiative look like? Is that a full page ad that you know is gonna cost? I said, earlier, we spend about 16 grand just each month on that full page ad with the WKT. So you're gonna have to have some type of idea of what you want each month. If that 16,000 is what you're asking for, how is that 16,000 going to be used? So I would hate for you guys to say 16 grand And then
All short.
your ideas are bigger than that 16 grand to cover 3/4 of work.
Yeah.
So that also would help it benefit the conversation a lot if you had a little bit more idea or talks amongst yourselves about some of the options I gave today. What do you want to maybe explore with some partnerships? And we can get you some more definitive numbers before we say it'll just be 4,000.
Sure.
Because you might could do a package, that quarter package with, let's just say STO magazine, which is 3 per quarter. And that's $4,000 a quarter.
Yeah.
So that's just one avenue though.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't think we're going to have time before budget to narrow down a specific line item plan.
I don't think we'll be able to come to like identifying the particular media outlets, but I do think once we have that information, we'll be able to come up with a quarterly budget that puts us in the ballpark, and then the spelling it out in detail can happen.
I think that's what next meeting we do. We spell it out more, but I think we could ask for it just under advertising right now.
Did anyone know how much the Ladue News spread was?
I think it ended up being around $1,200 a page.
pretty consistent.
It's a pretty, everybody, they're all in competition as well, so.
Yeah,
So
it's like,
I
you wanna
agree
do
with-
an ad every month, that's, $1,500 a month, that's 4,000 a budget quarter.
Yes, so 4,000 is probably low,
Yeah.
and then we would have,
Throw
yeah.
in supporting partial of the hospitality aspect, that's.
And you also have to realize, in my budget, I already have an advertising budget that's being paid for with the Odyssey partnership with KZK, where we're having the 5 spots a week, where it's focused on business districts. So as you're thinking about, well, really what you're doing is supplementary to what's already been done by the city. And so you don't want to, yes, it's small, but you're supplementing.
Yeah, we
So
don't do it
you don't have to go too hard on
So-
it.
My question is, because we do already have a budget subcommittee established, if they could meet next week, do you think that would be enough time to get some idea together of what we have spent and things like that, so that the budget committee can meet? And then we could have a Zoom meeting scheduled after that to present that to the commission for consideration and approval?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to vote and have a quorum and all of that on the budget?
As long as it's noticed by
Okay.
Katie.
All right. I think we can pull it together. Since you already have the pro forma information and everything, provided that some of the other information or analysis you might need to make has enough time before next week. Would that be okay?
Like you're saying next week, like
The
the
subcommittee.
subcommittee meet on Wednesday, so
Whatever day works for the subcommittee.
I mean,
I'm pretty open.
okay. And that would give, is that enough time if the subcommittee met on Wednesday next week?
I would request that the meeting is Wednesday or after.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so then we can coordinate that. Does that need to be advertised to the public and everything?
Just like a regular meeting.
Okay.
So if you're gonna get all this done, you need to establish right now when the Zoom meeting is gonna be too.
Okay.
Good idea.
Do you have your calendar?
I am leaving town on Thursday, so.
Okay, so Wednesday's the day.
Yeah, well, the subcommittee can meet on Wednesday and then the Zoom, then the details have to be presented. I think also we need to just ask Dr. Peoples for an extension of a week, maybe?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's.
It's coming right at spring break time. And so I think a lot of people are gonna be traveling and off and things like that. So if we could get an extra week from Dr. Peoples, that might help bridge that.
Yes. 24th is district's
Yeah.
spring break, so.
Renee, do you think that Dr. Peoples would entertain an extension of the BDC's budget request? I mean, we
We
can,
can ask.
yeah,
We can ask. Okay.
do you,
And actually, I don't know if she's gonna probably say also speak with Gregory.
okay, yeah.
So.
Can you make that request on behalf of the BDC to Gregory and Dr. Peoples, please?
If you don't mind, I'll send an email right now.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so Wednesday, what time, Jean?
I'm open, probably the earlier the better. So 9 o'clock would be good for me.
Okay, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Zoom or in person?
I can do in person. I think this will be.
I
easier
can
to
do in person. I can do in person. Where? Is there, do you want to do it here?
Is there a space here other than the Gordon?
Yeah.
Oh, downstairs.
Yeah, they're like
The Marsh
rooms
room.
downstairs.
Yeah, let's do them.
So we're not using it for orientation.
Right.
Okay.
Osage,
Where's that?
The police,
but, yeah.
the one right over there, she's.
I didn't know you guys had those things.
Okay.
We've been in that space before.
Okay, so in person, 9 a.m.
Next Wednesday.
And then depending on who should the request come from for which room is available
I
and,
can request.
okay,
Okay,
and let us know.
Just write it down.
Yeah, thanks Renee.
Cause I'm multitasking here. So
Yes, yes,
Next
sorry.
Wednesday,
9 a.m. Marsh room would be ideal, please, or the police jail cell.
okay, and then
We can put you in there if you want.
nobody will bother us,
It's empty
right?
right now.
Not yet, only for
Okay.
cops.
All right, so we'll try to rush through the rest of this real quick here. The business coffee subcommittee update, everyone, or not, it's not the coffee. Eric, are you still here?
I am back. Yes.
All right, do you have any updates? Do you have any dates or anything for the coffee?
We do not yet, but we will get that as soon as we can.
Okay, one thing I want to throw out to the coffee committee to consider, I was on the Safe Streets for All Task Force meeting. And they're starting to do outreach and engagement. And one of the things we talked about was having maybe some big post-it kind of things where people can write in response to questions they may have to engage with the business community that way. But that would be something we could easily incorporate into a coffee or happy hour.
I like it.
Great.
It's also for the coffee, hi Eric, is that also, are we still considering somebody from like some legislative figure or something like that?
Yes, that's the goal, to get someone with some knowledge of, hometown politics and how it affects business owners.
Great,
so can I jump in?
yes.
As soon as you get a date, I have spoken with the government affairs person from Greater St. Louis Inc. And very familiar with Webster and is very happy to come and talk. He said, please give him a date. He'd like at least a week.
That's generous
And,
to turn it around so quickly.
And he said that, because one of the things when we were speaking, specifically talking to the business district to give them an understanding of what's coming down the pipe legislatively. So I think that's what we want, right? And so he just needs a date.
Okay, great. Also, let's see. Eric, I believe, well, Katie sent us a roster of members on the commission, and he's not here today, but this would have been Mike Pincus's last meeting. So I think you're flying solo on the committee right now, but I also wanted to recognize all of Mike's efforts and volunteering over the years. He was a volunteer on this commission for over 11 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You have Jerry, right, Eric?
We've adopted him
Yeah.
informally.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mike.
The work in Webster Grove's job board update, can we push this to the next meeting? Because I'd like us to consider whether or not this is like something we should spend effort on anymore. Like if it's
Yeah.
being used and,
Well, and you got the email, so you kind of know the answer to
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can go more in depth in that.
okay, so next
Next meeting.
meeting. Any new business real quick? Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to mention next Wednesday, scheduled the meeting for 9 AM, and not available at 9 AM.
Is there
I
a
don't know
time
if
you all?
need.
I think you're a critical piece to this. Is
So
there a time you might be available that day?
I am free after 11.
Does that work for you, Jamie? I'll make anything work.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
Thanks,
if
Tara.
you want to change the time,
Who reaches out to Katie to notify her of this?
Renee just committed to that earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Change it to 12.
okay, so we'll meet at
11.
11 AM on Wednesday.
What
Thank
about
you.
the Zoom meeting? I have a question mark by that,
By
No.
the date.
Wednesday?
No,
The Zoom meeting. I think
The
they wanted to
Zoom-
see if
the
they could get
full
an,
BDC
I think they want to see if they wanted to. get an
Well, I mean,
extension.
if we can't really come up with a recommendation, then we wouldn't need the Zoom.
gotcha. So you'll decide then.
We'll decide it Wednesday and then,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so, new business. Any quick business update, business district updates? Anything happening aside from the new business books coming?
No,
No,
no updates.
any updates from Old Orchard? Old Webster?
No, just budget.
Yeah, good times, right?
No,
All
best.
right, let's see. I think that covers all the areas then. City council updates?
Yes, Joe Drusty, who's the co-owner of Vanilla Sugar Bake Shop with his wife Lindsay, has been appointed to the BDC.
Great.
And John Sauter, who's the co-owner of Leopard Boutique. Is approved and just waiting for whatever needs arise on the BDC. In our last meeting, we heard a very thorough stormwater plan update. And now council is considering when to adopt it, and what that looks like for our budget. It's important, obviously, because stormwater impacts businesses as well as all of our residents. So important stuff there. We heard an important update from the plan department. And I just want to clarify and planning is pulling itself together. It's made huge strides. I also just want to acknowledge the fact that there is across the board, civic governments are really strained with employee retention, employee hiring, much like businesses are. And I just want to acknowledge that this is across the board. This isn't just a Webster problem. So I just wanted to make sure that I brought light to that issue. And that's it.
Okay, so I have a question. Vanilla Sugar Bake Shop, the Joe Drusty, is taking the place that was vacated by a Novel Neighbor
Yes.
for that area.
Mhm.
So then could Leopard Boutique take the citizen at large one, or because it's a business, do they have to fit into the old Webster niche?
That question is above my pay grade. So maybe Fran knows.
If you look at the roster, you said you have a copy of the new roster. Melissa is down as the Old Orchard representative.
Oh,
Joe Drusty will be down as a business owner, and so will John Sauter.
okay.
John will bring a lot to this.
Yeah, because not only is he a co-owner of a small business, he's also a practicing lawyer.
And he's, I mean, everything that we do in Webster, he's been a big part of it for all the years. So, he'll have big ideas and
He'll take
Not
Mike's
afraid.
place.
not afraid to talk. He's very, very good.
Okay, so do we just need to wait to that word from council then?
It's, we've already approved it, so it's just a matter of Katie doing all the
Katie.
pieces of communication.
Put
Yeah.
the puzzle pieces together. Okay, great. Anything else before we adjourn? Do you have a time period that you're aiming for with the coffee there, Eric?
So my goal is to talk with Jerry and get some dates quickly. Hopefully we'd probably be looking early April, I'm thinking, because we're running into spring break and stuff in March. That'd be my goal.
Okay. And Jerry, I'm not sure if it came out super clear in what he was saying, but he told me before the meeting that we're all invited to the happy hour at Freddy's, which is next week. He wanted to open that up from the chamber to the BDC.
It's Freddy's.
Freddy's Market over
Rock
there
Hill
at
and Big
Rock
Bend
Hill and yeah.
By Clark School.
Place that I live next to.
You don't need
I mean, I-
to try it.
I have a mulch path that goes into the parking lot there. Yeah.
You know,
Eric, just because April is Earth Month, I just wanna see, and I'll email you about any sustainability efforts and like waste reduction that can be done at that coffee.
Awesome. I'm born on Earth Day, so
you're Earth vibes.
Your baby Jesus for Earth Day.
Do
Thanks,
you know
Eric.
what day that happy hour at Freddy's is next week, you said?
I think they're usually on Thursdays.
And it's on the sustainability thing.
Yes.
All we have to do at Sierra Mills is get recycling back and then people got everything we need for, yeah.
There's a grant available too from, or like special pricing
Yeah,
available from.
I
the
saw
Green
that,
County line.
but yeah, I'm trying to work with. Possibly, whether I
Okay,
get it from the
so
city
our
or
next
our
meeting is
landlords.
scheduled for April 3rd.
But
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. Okay, all in favor? I think we are.
All right, after bar at my house.
After the party is the half hour.
You can meet all my dogs.
all right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Eric.
Erin.
And did Bridget decide where to?
We didn't get to read
Zoom.
through, but I hope everybody takes a second.
Only place you like that.
Good. I like a girl who knows what she wants.
Anything that they want to